healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Well, it's kind of the thing that is so wild is like you're out there operating in the world, trying your best. And like I have, acted unhinged at points. And it's been like, I've kind of like, there have been times in my life that I've been drunk or loud or whatever, tested the boundaries. And it's like, I have always found them pushed back at me immediately.
Right.
Like talking too loud on the train. Like I remember I was on the train once with a friend. We were going out to, maybe we were going to Southampton or something, or we were going like out that ways for a vacation time. And she was telling me about this guy that she was dating and like blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And like kind of getting graphic about it. And this woman was like, excuse me, I just want you to know that we can all hear every detail. And I'm so embarrassed for you. And I was just like,
are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
or are
weird.
you absolutely relishing every moment of this, you psychotic bitch? And so it's like, so it's like moments like that where I've just had the boundaries of society pushed in on me so hard that I'm like would never act unhinged because I know someone will check me or do something. So it's like,
oh yeah.
So when you see people acting totally unhinged, you're like,
no one's checked you before?
No, you've never had anybody like set a boundary with you, or like, do you just not understand what that is and you're just still being a wild asshole, to use the words of Rachel Feinstein.
Right, because you don't want to just be like, I think it's men, but you're like, no, I've worked with some wild women out there.
Oh, and there are some unhinged women out there. And I feel like I'm so much better at this because I'm on Zoloft now, that I used to really doubt my own perception of reality. Like I remember sitting at a show before and there was like a woman that came in and was just being like really unhinged, chattering loudly, like being kind of too like familiar with people that she had just met. And I'm sitting there like, everyone's acting like it's normal.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, it's because from their own self-preservation, like who's going to stand up and be like, you're being strange.
You're making me uncomfortable.
Right? But
that's
then it's
why
like,
I pretend I have autism.
Oh,
I don't like what you're doing to me right now.
I am not having fun on this date. Welcome to Lady Journey.
Because that's basically what is happening.
Yeah.
And I do feel like if you just address it like that, there's no way they can come back and make you feel shitty.
Yeah.
To just be like, I don't like how I feel right now around you.
Yes. Excuse me. I need to leave. Yeah. And I think that that's actually much healthier than what I was doing, which was doubting my own perception of reality and then freaking out like, am I the only one that thinks that this is weird?
Right. Or then mine or is having a look like this. And then they're like, what?
Yes. Just non-verbally communicating your disgust. Yeah.
What? And I'm like, I don't know. This behavior is
you're
crazy to me.
Swinging from the chandelier right now, ma'am. Am I supposed to be fine with it?
Hi,
welcome
to Lady Journey.
Welcome
to Lady Journey. I can't wait to get into this because it reminded me
This
of
is a juicy topic.
A person I worked with.
Yes, and it's a juicy topic. But before we delve, let us do our stone dedications. We have one person who is rejoining. We have a rejoiner.
Oh, I love a rejoiner. I get it.
We get it.
Money. You're back. You need whatever information we're giving.
It's time for you to binge up on those journeys. Okay?
Yes.
Because we are now doing full or sometimes half episodes on the weekends.
You do get extra behind the scenes stuff because I did talk about my internet drama.
Sarah talked about her internet drama.
I'm not addressing it because I cannot. I think of RuPaul's quote, you do not talk to stupid people.
No. Can't talk about it. And then you also get the behind the scenes of my crazy person that I had to work with a couple weeks ago, which actually inspired today's episode. And I won't be mentioning them or even telling that story because I am afraid.
Yes.
Okay. So
because
go
some
to
of you
the
guys
Patreon.
are sleuths.
Some people are sleuths.
I told a story one time and then they were like, is it this? And I'm like, yes, God damn it. I'm fucked.
Yeah. But so I want to welcome back Kay. Kay, thank you so much for coming back.
Welcome.
We've welcomed you
You're
back into the
always
fold.
welcome.
You're always welcome. Join the journey. Binge those.
You can
binge those
leave and do your
episodes.
own other journeys.
Yes.
And you can come back for your lady journey.
And you're going to get a crystal dedication. This is the crystal that I got when I used to date Ian Fidance. I was having a really hard time mentally. Unrelated,
I wonder why.
or maybe it was related, but and we went on a bus to visit his mom, and I decided on that day I gotta get my shit together mentally. I was reading the book Thoughts Are Things, and I purchased this from a crystal shop, and I used it to meditate and get me through that trip. So this is
Bless
whatever
you.
you're trying to get through, Kay. May you get through it.
With a crystal.
With a crystal. That's for you. Amen.
It's also great to throw at a windshield.
Ah, blessings. Take that to your enemies. And then we also have Scott. Welcome, Scott.
Scott.
I love a masculine presence on the
Scott,
journey.
a Scott is a masculine name.
Ooh, I know. It's also a toilet paper.
It is.
And
That's pretty masculine.
That's you, Scott. Sturdy. Useful. Flush as well. This is a crystal that I got. A guy that I was dating, his name was Jared, and he actually was on Natasha's sketch team as well. That's where I met Natasha. I remembered, but I didn't want to say his name on the podcast, but I just did. But I won't say last names.
So good luck.
But he got this for me from a vacation, and I have no idea what it is, but I love how sharp it is. It's so jagged, right? Like you feel
like
like
a
you could,
shiv.
yeah,
in
like
prison.
yeah, I carry this in my purse. If someone comes up behind me on the street, God help you.
Yeah.
Okay, because you will be
Good luck,
scratched.
subway pushers.
Yeah. At minimum, you'll be slightly uncomfortable
Well,
by
you're
this.
like-
Yeah.
Lying in the rails, being like, I got him good.
I really poked him. Woo! Okay, so this is for Scott. Scott, thank you for joining the journey, and may you be sharp. May you be sharp. Lex is chuckling, but
We're working through it.
Scott Sharp, which is actually the name of somebody.
a comic.
A comic, yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy, Scott Sharp.
I haven't heard of him in a while.
No, I haven't. Fell off the face of the earth. No, great guy, amazing guy. Love him. So thank you for joining, Scott. And then I also had crap. Now I have to sort through all of my open tabs of Reddit, where I'm just learning about narcissism on Reddit. That's my whole life. I'm like, maybe I should Google more.
Narcissism is a huge topic online.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, and it's like,
And it's talked about ad nauseum that I now think everybody falls under the criteria of narcissism.
it's silly. It's such silly pop psychology where it's like, is this helping? Now I'm just labeling everyone as a narcissist. Meanwhile, I have like a psychotic victim mentality. Oh, I think it was Melissa. I think I'm going to be dedicating this last one to Melissa. Melissa, you are getting the beautiful, isn't this lovely? This is a little carnelian, which I can't even remember where I got this.
I like that it's smooth.
It's smooth. It's shiny. It is, I know that carnelian is a special stone for creatives. So, Melissa, I hope you're out there creating your reality, manifesting, and making your dreams come true. And thank you for joining our Patreon. Okay. And now let's get into it.
Back.
So, yes, this topic was inspired by me working with a crazy person.
Toxic work environment.
Toxic
But
work
I
environment.
kind of enjoy, because it always makes for great stories later.
Well, I do love drama in my work.
I
Yes.
do too, because it's so boring that sometimes I think as a company you should hire a one loose cannon.
Yeah. Yes. That's the personality hire. You want to hire someone who's just not in touch with reality in any way.
Right.
And foists their dreams upon you. I worked with a guy once, and I'm so paranoid of saying anything, but if he is listening, just know that I'm sorry I'm making fun of you right now, but this was an insane thing to do. He would play his rap album, and I won't say his ethnic race, but it was a different race than that's usually associated with that art form.
Right.
White. Okay, I had to say it. White rapper. And he would play his rap album. He would blast it throughout the location when we were like doing our prep in the morning.
Yes.
And it's like, that's a crazy thing to do.
Yes.
Like, you're subjecting us all day after day. Like, I shouldn't be able to sing your rap album by heart. That is,
we all don't want playing your music publicly.
your own music. I mean, that would
It's
be
crazy, but I feel like in some places we're in the minority.
right.
Because you, at a certain time on the beach, to be like, can you not play that? You're in the wrong.
Well, I think that there are people out there who would say that I'm being mean, and then they would probably, send me like a death threat or something on Instagram, as though that's an appropriate response.
Right.
But I mean, I just think, like, imagine if I was playing my comedy clips, my own comedy clips, for people that I knew, even taking into account that clearly I am a narcissist and crave attention, but it's like, that's why I've built my whole life around it. Hello?
Right. And they get people to buy a ticket to come to. I don't force it upon.
Right.
But it is insane. One time, Joe and I were going back this year. This will be our third year. We went to Shenandoah National Park. We climbed, must have been an hour to get to the best viewing of the valley. And we didn't, these parks on the Northeast get really busy, but it wasn't busy on the way up. We get there and it's just these kids. It must have been like these 18-year-old boys blasting like EDM while we're all trying to take in the beauty of nature. Like, it was like,
that is the most awful thing. I don't know why people do that.
and also it was in a heightened period of like racial tension. There weren't black. So I think they were just like Pakistani kids or something to just be like, can you turn that down? Like, to just be labeled a white bitch and then videotaped and become like Screaming Sarah on the internet.
Yeah,
It's
you don't want
not
that.
worth it.
Yeah, you're like, no.
You're like, maybe I could get to like whatever this music is.
No, this is so soothing. Like, I'm here taking in the nature with a beat, like, a fat beat.
We can't. Why you can't even put on like yoga background music? It was
Right,
like
we're
the
in
most
the forest.
inappropriate. One time I went to what's that art installation in the Hudson Valley? Stone King.
Oh, Storm King.
Storm King.
Mm-hmm.
It was it's just like nice, quiet outside, but a lot of people. And then out from walking up the hill, somebody's playing Gloria Esteban and the Miami Sound Machine on full blast.
Which I have to say, I do love that song.
Great song, but it's always funny where you're like, what about Storm King?
Right.
Makes you think, you know what?
Zumba.
Zumba.
Here we go. Yeah, it's so wild to me, because this is like in terms of like this overall topic of like dealing with awful people. It's like there's a lot of dealing with awful people is just like noticing and saying nothing, because you can say nothing, because what are you going to say that they've already been the person choosing to be blasting Gloria Estefan.
My theory too is I feel like they want you to say something, so I don't want to give them
the satisfaction. Yeah,
so what I do is I
it.
start dancing.
Yeah,
I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, finally! It was too peaceful out here. Oh my god, it's insane.
Insane.
But
I live for it. I live for it.
It's at least fun to take revenge later by putting them on blast in a podcast.
Right.
But I'll never understand the people that play music in the natural setting, because it's like, what's the point of going outside?
Yeah, you want to hear like a light rustling of the leaves in the wind, and
yeah, you want to get in touch with nature. That's the whole point of going. Why not just sit in your apartment then?
It was insane. Nobody said anything, and it must have been 100 of us up there. 100 people
So
with no courage.
Yeah, and then
we were also on a cliff kind of situation, so it's not like we can have the sharks and the jets up there.
Right. That's so funny. Yeah, I will jump off. Okay. EDM music too is like, even if it had been like some classic rock, I'm like, okay, that's camping music.
Right, it's a little American, right?
EDM though, it's like, okay, you guys are on Molly, I guess. You're just on Molly in the forest with no snacks or water.
Just like this. Holding it.
Yeah.
Wild behavior. But
I love it.
it's
But
funny.
I love it. It is
when
funny.
you see it, you're like, okay.
Okay, here we go. See, the thing of being around awful people, especially like in work, is you end up getting squished in with them. Like, and sometimes in our case, like if you're in a comedy club or something, then it's like you're just in the green room with a maniac,
Right.
who, you could be alone one-on-one with them, and then you're just subjected to whatever their like alternate reality is.
And I didn't coin this term. Matt Wayne did. They are a hornet in a car.
A hornet in a car, and you're in the car trying to drive. You're like,
You're
I'm just trying to get
hoping
through the day.
They will fly out the windshield and
Yeah.
give you some peace. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, you have to make no eye contact or appease
Yes.
the hornet.
You have to look down. You're like, oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, they
Sorry,
are- what-
that seems like you were in the right. No, you're the victim. You are the victim. Well, I was inspired by this incident to look up, like, what do you do when you're around awful people? And one thing that I found is so funny is like, you just have to, because a lot of times when someone's awful and you try to set a boundary, it's like what you said, where you try to be like, either stop or like, don't look at me or don't talk to me or don't like make a sexual joke towards
Right.
me. Like, they will not react well.
No.
You think as a woman, you have to be like, stop, this is me too.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, nothing happens then. Like, it's not like Me Too police come from the ceiling and like monitor that person's behavior. It's like, no, the person overreacts. They gaslight you. They act like they're the victim who's been violated
Then
by you.
their game becomes smarter, where
Yeah.
they don't say anything to you, but they're looming by your desk.
Yeah. 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 It's still a problem. Yeah.
Or won't move in the hallway.
Or they will like bash you and ruin your life, talking about you to other people.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to just kind of, one thing it said, like, Lex is laughing again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the noogie.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Wait, when was that?
I was interning. I couldn't find it. It was in LA around 9/11. After 9/11, I was in the throes of my alcoholism, just to paint the picture of how sad my life was. And I found an internship of a guy that owned a media company that was or an agency for people like cinematographers for like commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would hook up makeup artists and cinematographers for like McDonald's if they're like, hey, we need this kind of. So I interned for him, and he never paid me money. And he put me in a headlock and gave me a noogie. He made me, he put on these make-believe boxing gloves that were kind of connected to a toy that would also cause the toys to box. And he was like, here, try this. He's like, no, you're not doing it right. And he wanted me to punch harder. So I'm just getting like embarrassed. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And so I finally no-showed one day, and he calls me up and he goes, I don't get what happened. Like, I thought we were in a good place. Like, I thought
He's talking to you like a boyfriend.
I was like, well, you did put me in a headlock and give me a noogie. And while I'm saying it, I can't even like stop laughing because it's such insane behavior to like address your boss to be like, I don't understand how you don't know that's not cool. And then I go, and then one day you were you bent down to get a soda and I saw your butt crack.
Wow, you just annihilated him. It's like,
With facts.
yeah.
Nothing hearsay or weird. He could not fight any of this argument, and I don't think he was trying to make me feel weird. It just was weird.
Oh my God.
But I felt like that was the right. If you just lay out truth, it's funny.
Yes.
And you can't beat funny.
You know what? I have to agree with that. And I always have I always find when I'm in a stressful situation with somebody I don't feel safe around, if they're like a chaotic person, I kind of go to the opposite. Like I really fawn. I'm learning that's like the trauma response of like, it's like fight or flight or freeze or fawn, where you're like, I'm like, tell me more about your bitch ex.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like trying to be like,
I want you to be my friend.
Yeah, like I'm safe. I'm safe.
That's the worst.
And I think it actually doesn't help. It makes me feel like a little safer, but then it's like now this person thinks I'm like up their ass.
Right.
So they're like, you want to get food later? I'm like, no, I'll starve. I'll be starving if you're anywhere by the food bar. So I'm trying to. Well, one of the things I read when I was like doing my research, as I do, I don't get any information from inside. I only get it from Google and AI now. But
yes,
it said like gray rocking when somebody's doing outrageous behavior. Like gray rocking is actually
that's what I did to my drama online.
Yeah,
and I specifically said just gray rock them.
Gray rocking, and I think it's nice when you can gray rock mindfully, so it feels like. When you get put in a situation like that, it feels like you should do something. And it's like gray rocking is doing something.
Well, and if you make the decision to gray rock and you know to stick with it, it helps you have a decision so you don't get thrown off and get emotional because they really want you to get in an emotional state.
Yes. People are trying to get reactions from you.
You are, and you don't. I never have reasoning or irrational. I don't speak clearly when I'm emotional. Like I can't articulate. I was seeing a TikTok the other day that was talking about how to talk to somebody that has disagreement with you. And I thought it was just really fascinating because it made me feel better because he said your natural response is it feels like they're going against your character. But you're not, it's like you're not doing anything wrong. You just have two different opinions. So you're not a bad person for thinking these things, but he just said when they respond with something that they disagree with you, just take a breath in that buys you time and then it resets you, and then think of their intent rather than what they're saying. And then I scrolled past.
But you're like, that's enough. On to dancing.
Well, I know what he meant of just like, instead of getting riled up, being like, where is this person coming from? And then it makes you feel a little bit better. All right, so then you can ask the questions of like, well, why do you think? Turn it on them.
Right. That's good.
There's a viral clip. There's a model, Twiggy, being interviewed by Woody Allen. And he was like, who are your favorite philosophers? And she didn't know any, or it wasn't coming to her mind. And then instead of her responding, she's like, I don't know. I don't have any. And she goes, who are yours? And he's like, I don't know. And she's like, name them. And he didn't name them. And it's like, it shows that instead of her getting like bummed about it and feeling stupid, she stayed poised, and she flipped the script on him.
Staying poised is tricky.
It's a skill.
I think too, like there are a lot of people out there that they do kind of get off from making people, you know, not to turn this into like a pop psychology episode about narcissism, which now that is how I see everything. Everyone's a narcissist. I'm like, could that be narcissism? They're like, no, I'm just asking you to return my, please return my car. I'm like, gaslighting. Yeah. But it does feel like, especially when you're dealing with awful people, they're awful. They are actually awful for a reason. They're awful. They are awful. They're being awful. They know they're being awful, and they kind of are partly being awful because they have a deep need for you to like react to it.
I don't understand that. That's the thing that I have a hard time with, is I don't understand the psychology behind to be that vicious.
And I think it's almost like unconscious in a way too. Even if somebody's like I was dealing with a person who they kept telling me like sob story, and then like they wanted me to be like, oh my gosh, like wow, like oh, you know, it was like not necessarily they were trying to provoke like an angry reaction from me, but they were like being like an emotional vampire and trying to get me to like. They were kind of like getting off on me, being like, oh, you poor thing.
Right.
And then, you know, me being like, I'm a happy clown. You know, I'm like, oh. But I started being like,
oh, that sucks. Anyways, I got to go.
Yeah. It said gray rocking, and then it was like if all else like just trying to limit your exposure. It's like
like
you don't sit in the same break room. Like you just don't go in the break room.
If I hear a sigh to start your sentence,
bye bye, bye bye. I'm out here living my best life.
I got to go back to work.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather end my lunch break early than get involved in your drama.
And I do think that, you know, when you cut stuff off at the head like that, you save yourself. Like I'm listening to the same podcast again. It's a different podcast about the same topic of the woman who was molesting all of the doulas in Canada.
Oh my God, I forgot.
The con, Caitlin's baby. And it's really interesting. I do think like a doula is a particularly vulnerable position to be molested by this person because it's like, you know, people like might be naked. They might be like, you know, not in their usual.
Faking her pregnancy.
She was faking her pregnancy and she was also like masturbating and stuff and like going around like naked. It was like she was clearly like getting off from the attention.
Oh my God.
And these poor girls, these girls are like, oh,
they
I'm a
didn't
doula.
know it until late. They were like, it was really weird. And then when wasn't it until finding out later or when something was definitive and reaching out, they were like.
Some of them did. Well, so in this podcast, it totally blows the lid off of what they had done in the previous, I think it was Something Was Wrong. They covered it. In this one, they're actually covering, she's molested like 50 girls. And I'm saying molested, meaning like kind of she was being weird sexual to them. She wasn't like touching
the equivalent
them,
of
like,
showing your dick, exposing yourself.
Yes, that's pretty much what she was doing. Like one girl was like, she's asking me for a massage naked, and then I like look and she's like touching her vagina, being like, the baby's coming out, and I'm like, I don't think there is a baby. It's like crazy. And it's even crazier because it's like women don't usually do that.
I know. That's the fascinating part. It's like, it's rare. But it's
so
out
rare.
there.
It's out there. It's out there. But like when you notice a pink flag of someone, and you know, you have to be, everybody's a little bit weird. So, you know, each pink flag is different. But I do think there are some situations with those doulas where it's like they noticed red flag after red flag, but because they were doulas and she was pregnant, they were like, well, we're ignoring it. And now here we are. Now I'm just like watching a woman like jerk herself off. And I'm like, is the baby? She's like, no, the baby's coming. You're like, is it? Something's coming. Something's coming.
Yeah. That's like, I don't know how you would handle that.
See,
what TikTok?
See, I feel like, right. I feel like I am not I'm not vulnerable to that because I have so little tolerance for people that are being weird already, where I'm just like, nope, I can't deal with you. But it's like, I'm not a doula and I would never get into that practice because I don't want to deal with it.
I feel like it was until I turned 30 or moving to New York, because I used to become friends with people that over time that you'd be like, oh my God, I'm in an awful friendship situation. Yeah. Like I remember befriending this guy. It was a gay guy in Houston as one of my first comic friends. And then he was like, you got to come out and stay with me. And then I stayed out and he lived in a trailer off of his family's property. And it slowly just turned into me driving him around Houston, frauding pharmacies to get pain pills. And I had to ghost him, but I kept kind of seeing him in the scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the kind of friendships that I would kind of fall into, especially during my drinking days and anytime you're new on the scene, it's like you get.
Well, it's harder with friends because when you have a coworker that's an awful person, you're like, no, get away. But when you have a friend and you have a legitimate emotional connection with somebody, but then they also are chaotic, it's really hard to cut it off. I think it's so much harder. And I've had friendships like that too, where it's like, then the person like shows up and they're like, I'm homeless. Like, can you help me? And you're like, wait, what? Like you haven't heard from them in 2 years. And you're like,
right. And
okay.
I still find myself I'm so glad we got rid of our basement apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Because there were several times that I'd be like, you're more than welcome to stay. And I would be like, what are you doing?
Sarah, what are you doing? Yeah, you're like, come over anytime.
Because then
please don't.
And then you have somebody that just stays there forever.
Yeah, it's tough.
I have a friend that's like that. I'm still good friends, but I'm just like, I won't let them stay at my place.
That's right.
It's a male. None of my girlfriends.
It's nicer to go down to a 1-bedroom apartment and be like, I don't have the room.
Right. It's just easier to put people up in a hotel.
I have had a couple toxic friends, especially like in the early 20s too. And like, do you ever have that moment where it's like hits you with a ton of bricks? Because I've had this happen a couple times where you in an instant realize that the person is completely pathological liar and they've been lying this whole time. You're like, wait, you didn't win a contest and get a free trip to Antarctica.
Right.
And it just all comes crashing down in a moment.
It takes a while. Because then you're like, one day you're driving, you're like, God, they have a lot of like crazy shit happen to them. And then you're like, wait a minute.
You're like, wait, I'm so stupid.
And then it just takes one of the lies to be like, wait, how does that even work?
Yeah.
I can't even think of an example right now, but I've had several where you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. So they just let you out of nowhere, they say, get out of my life.
Right. And then you start connecting the dots and you're
like, they're always having somebody in their life being like, yeah, they just went crazy out of
somebody's
out of the
always
blue.
battering
And they were like, tell me
them.
to get out of their apartment. And I was like, then you're like, but you've had 5 of those scenarios.
Right. You're like, I feel like I'm not getting the whole story.
Well, I've determined that the people that are like, I'm taking a break from Instagram, it's a toxic hellhole up in here, is because they're the ones that are throwing out the crazy comments, the nasty comments, and what they're getting is reflection back of their awful behavior.
Yeah. It's not a toxic hellhole to me.
I'm having a blast.
I have a great time on there. I just post my stuff. Yeah, it's really wild when you see somebody who refuses to acknowledge their own toxic behavior, and it
takes like years to see that pattern.
Oh, it does. It does.
I had a coworker. It took me about 2 months to realize he was full of shit. It was at the property management. He'd always have lunch at his desk, and then I would realize that slowly you're like, God, he's never at his desk, and then you realize he goes to a lot of dentist appointments. And why is his dentist always in Long Island?
When the city is in Long Island, that's
like,
crazy.
It's, it just starts off being like, oh, well, because I used to live out there and then that's who I go to or whatever. You're like, yeah, I had a dentist in Texas. Doesn't mean I have to like
get on a
fly
plane,
away and leave for it. And then I slowly started realizing his tactic was to always have his lunch at his desk for the whole day because it would make you feel uncomfortable to ask him to go do something if he had, because you always felt like you were interrupting his lunch break.
That's hilarious. Just grazing.
Just grazing.
It's 9:30.
That's why I was a big,
Wow.
I was like, you, and in business, I was like, you can't, I feel like you shouldn't eat at your desk unless you have a private office that you can.
Oh, it's insane to eat at your desk.
Close. Go to the table and eat, but not at your desk.
No,
it's not even enjoyable.
You're eating like tuna out there. Yeah.
Well, that was the other. He would eat hard-boiled eggs in the morning, so it smelled like farts in the first day.
No, eat at home.
Open office floor plans are awful, and people are saying now they're like, okay, if you want us to come back to work in a location, get rid of the open floor plan. And I agree with that.
I feel
Give people
sympathy,
cubicles again.
Oh my God. I feel
a
sympathy
little
for
privacy.
for the people that are like getting called back in because it's like they just want it so sandwich shops will be open, you know? And I get that, but it's like, who cares?
Right. It's a
people,
natural order of things.
Yeah.
It's also expensive to eat lunch in the city. Like going to work, when I worked at a day job, I was like, this is actually really expensive. If I didn't have time to make a meal the night before because of stand up or whatever, I would have to buy lunch the next day. And a lunch in the city would start base rate $15.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say 20. It's like $20. That's $100 a week.
Yes.
And it cuts into your paycheck so much.
Then your outfits. I'd always have to get a little dry cleaning.
Oh, you have to. A little tailoring, no. I'm trying to think of this person that I worked with. I remember they were like a compulsive liar. This was when I worked at the preschool. It was like totally pathological. All these weird lies coming up. And this is when I realized that I am just like I realized this of several times about myself, but I think I'm a really gullible person. But it's like, am I gullible or am I just like allow myself to feel safe in my reality and trust someone when they say that they're my friend, that they're not like an evil person?
Malcolm Gladwell had a whole book called Talking to Strangers. Our naturally, as a human species, it is our natural state to trust someone.
Interesting.
I think out of survival, because I think it would be too much if we thought everybody was out to get us.
Well, it makes you realize like what's going on when people do these weird scams, you know, or like you always hear about like the Anna Delvey where it's like, oh, she, you know, created a whole fake identity. It's like, well, who's out there being like, oh, she's poor.
Right.
Like who has the energy to think like that?
I know, and it does shake reality to a core because these people don't follow any rules. What is it? Is it arbitrary? They're just like, these don't apply.
Yeah, totally.
Me.
It's sociopath. Yeah.
But, you know, we were talking about, did we talk about that woman that wrote for Grey's Anatomy?
Oh my God.
Cancer and also being part of the Jewish mausoleum that had the shooting in it.
The Pittsburgh,
where she had friends
the Pittsburgh
there,
temple. Yeah.
And then she lied about other stuff. I actually feel like because it felt like at that time period where she took advantage of it, I kind of don't blame her because Hollywood created a reward system for victimhood.
Right. They absolutely did.
And
it's like you must have a story where you've pulled yourself up by the bootstraps. And she just wrote a really good story.
Oh, I think she even lied about her family, like her brother being abusive to her.
Oh, yeah, she did. Well,
yeah.
Wait, what is that called? I think it was called
I forgot it.
Anatomy of Lies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very fascinating, but you realize it took them a while.
Great watch. Great watch. Yeah.
But you kind of understood it because then you're like, I guess. But also,
She
what
was-
are the chances that somebody's like got this and this and then also knows the victims of the shooting?
Oh, so rare. So rare. Yeah. Well, anyway, her wife had to expose her.
Right,
So
and
it was
that
like,
was
you feel bad
devastating.
for the wife. You're like,
Right.
oh my God, she didn't even tell her wife.
Who also just left an abusive male relationship.
Yeah. I did feel bad for the wife.
But yeah, I was like, I forgot who I was talking to another comic and we were like, you know, in a weird way, she just kind of like saw the weakness in the system and took advantage of it, which you're kind of told about that in Hollywood. She just did a little bit of show business.
Was she just a show business? I mean, that's what a lot of people actually do. They just create, she just completely made hers up and they, you know, it's like the difference between like maybe like
Lying.
hyperbole versus outright completely making up an insane cancer story.
Where some people lie about growing up poor.
Yeah, that's a big one. It was so hard. My family was the poorest family in the subdivision. And you're like, what?
Did you go to a private school?
Yeah. Wait, no, we didn't even have our own car. We had to take the service. We had to take the car service. We had to take Ubers everywhere because we had no car. But it's so funny to me too, where it's like if someone is like awful, like weird, I'll like pick up on it immediately. But if someone is like a secret awful person, I'm just like, that's my best friend.
Right.
Like,
Because
what is that?
They take forever
They
to show.
They're so much more, I guess they're more calculated. I guess people that are the more obvious awful people just are lazy. And the more calculated people, they are concerned with the subterfuge.
Well, that's what I was thinking about recently. I was like, don't you find really nice people to be, there's something sinister about them?
Yes, because that's how I think about myself. I'm like, hey, what are we up to?
Or like all of a sudden I realize I dropped a text but then I need information from this person. So then my text is like, oh my God.
I'm so sorry. Hey, can you babysit? Hey, what are you up to on Friday? Yeah, but it's also like, I don't know. I feel like being fake is labeled as bad, but it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Tell people what I really think of them? Like, that's not going to be received well.
Oh, no. I talked about that recently. Also, like, you can't really be on hypervigilance because that's no way to lead your life.
Oh, hypervigilance. It's
calling
exhausting.
out everything.
Oh, yeah.
You have to let some stuff just be like, whatever, that's their shit.
Whatever, gray rocking. Yeah. Especially, I do think like when, you know, there's a difference between like red flags and then this is the thing that I think a lot of the pop psychology narcissism, they like get criticized on this because it's like, instead of you dealing with your friend as a human person, you kind of have this individualistic mentality that like you only think of your friend in terms of like what they can give to you, and the second they have their own emotions or they're going through a hard time, you're like, narcissist,
stay away.
back, and you like weaponize the like pop psychology terms.
Yeah, because there's a lot of fucked up people that I actually like hanging out with that have done really weird shit.
And we're all kind of like emotionally complex. So
Well,
it's like if I accidentally like said something rude on a trip or something, it's like, please know that I didn't mean to do. I'm apologizing. I'm like, that one time, I'm really sorry about it.
Or sometimes you don't even realize, I'm not saying you specifically, but just in general.
Others, yeah.
I think I say rude shit all the time without realizing it.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. And
it's
I
like,
don't mean to.
And
It's just something I learned from my mom.
it happens.
It's a gift.
And that's why I think it's like really moot to be like one of those people that always tries to like call out a microaggression, because it's like you are too doing microaggressions.
Yeah, everybody is like, especially if you have any kind of ego. I don't know. This is
Which
really
I do.
weird. And who doesn't?
I definitely do.
Well, I would talk about this openly because their story is out, but you know, I really like Steve Renazizi.
Yes. Yeah.
And he has a stolen valor
yes.
thing. But I'm like, I don't know. Did it harm anybody?
Still fun to hang out with. Yeah. It's pretty nice.
Isn't
pretty
it
nice,
weird?
actually.
Like, it's like, I'd rather hang out with him than some other people in my life that haven't had a stolen valor thing.
But have stolen molestation or something that no one can prove.
Or stonewall me completely in a group setting in a hang.
Yeah.
That it's just like rude to me, or they're always like fighting with somebody.
Ooh, this is a new branch. People that are rude, people that are awful in a group dynamic.
Right.
That's the
There's
worst.
several comics that are like that there's something liberating when you stop fawning to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
when you realize
do your own thing.
I'm never going to get a friendship out of them, and they're never going to give it to me because
they get off on it.
They get off on it.
You being like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. They're like,
But then you let that go and you stop saying hello to them. It's so
and then
liberating.
They're coming to you suddenly.
Yeah.
And the power has shifted. Shifting a power
You
imbalance.
fell into my trap.
I'm a bitch too. Yeah, I don't like, I think this has been really particularly difficult. And not that this is like necessarily an awful person, but I do think like when you're a female and you're trying to network in a field that's all men, there's socializing, and it can be really challenging to socialize when people don't acknowledge you.
Well, a lot of the guy comics, a lot of them are really nice and include you, but there is a group, once they get together, they see you as someone that ruins the fun. And guys, let me in. I promise I will not.
Please let us in. This is the last time I asked.
Well, maybe that's what women have to think about all the time.
Yeah.
I remember there's a well-known clip that went around a few months ago, Saoirse Ronan, whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She was on the Graham Norton show, and Paul Mescal was talking about, they were doing self-defense, and he was talking about how there's danger anywhere. And she's like, well, that's what us women have to go through every day. And she got an applause break, and everybody thought it was great. And I was like, no, she's right. But also, we're just having a good time here.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a Debbie Downer, and you just made him feel like he's just like ignoring women's, like, we get raped every day, Paul.
Yes. Yeah, I know. That's the one where you're like, okay. You know what? It's so funny. Somebody has a story, and I can't share the particulars, but it was like a very similar situation where it's like they're on like a beach vacation. It's like one of those those resort comedy things, and like they're on like the bouncy couch, being like pulled through the water, bouncing, and someone was like, "Yep, well, women are raped." And they were just like, well, we're on the bouncy couch right now, so I don't know, maybe you want to save the activism for later.
Yeah, there's like a time and a place, and I'm not thinking.
It's not that she was bringing it up. It's that she's hijacking a fun conversation.
She hijacked it.
Yeah,
it was
and then
Graham Norton show.
Yeah. It's like it's hijacking is different than being like pro-woman.
But sometimes I feel like that's what guy comics think we'll do. Well, maybe if we weren't raped every time. Shane.
Yeah. Let us on the tour bus. We won't fight you off. Oh my gosh. Well, I think that's a great place to end.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, come see us live at headlining the Vale Comedy Festival from May 23rd to
25th.
Yes. Subscribe to our Patreon.
Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.